Hi and welcome back to my channel under the Avo tree. My name is Aoife if we have not met before, and today's practice we're going to do a beginner's flow to just get you into your New Year's practice. Maybe you have a resolution to pick up yoga for the new year. Maybe you've done it before but it fell off track a little bit and you're wanting to kickstart it again. Maybe you're totally new and it's just something you've always wanted to do. You're wanting to give it a try this year in 2021. So today's class is your new practice for the new year. So it is beginners friendly, and if you also are an experienced yogi, it can be just a nice one to bring you back to the basics. We'll go through nice and slow and just take your time. You can pause me anytime you feel you need me to slow down even further. And if you don't worry about if like some of the poses you're not sure what you're doing, like that all comes with just repetition of doing yoga over and over again. And if some things I'm saying do this or that and you're like, I just can't even attempt that, just give it a go to the best that you can, and I'll give variations where I can as well. And just know that it is a practice. Like first time doing anything, like there are always going to be parts that are hard or maybe you just can't do yet, and that you need further practice to be able to reach that level. So just accepting that you are a beginner and it is okay not to be able to do things. That comes at time, and it comes at doing it over and over and over again. So to get your new yoga practice started for the new year, we're going to start seated. You can sit cross-legged like I am, both feet on the floor, or if you like one foot on top of the other. If you prefer to kneel, because some people find the cross-legged very difficult on the knees and hips, you can sit kneeling, or you can stick the legs out in front. If you want to get a cushion, sit up on the cushion with the legs reaching out in front, sitting up nice and tall through the spine. So whichever one you're choosing to do, we're sitting up nice and tall. We're going to rest the hands on the thighs, and we're going to close down our eyes. And if you're not comfortable having the eyes closed, you can just gently gaze down to the mat just beyond the feet. So we're just going to take a few moments here. This is easy seated pose if you're sitting cross-legged. We'll just sit here for a few moments, just coming into our practice, into our space. Maybe setting an intention for this next 30 minutes or so. That will be maybe doing your first ever practice, just to have fun with it, to be open-minded and easy with yourself and compassionate with yourself as you give it a go. The beauty of doing yoga off YouTube is no one can see you. So no matter how silly you feel, there's nobody to observe it or watch it. You can be as silly as you like. So just setting your intention for this practice. Maybe not just for this practice, if you're just starting yoga, setting your intention to commit to it, to show up each week or a couple of times a week, whatever your plan is, to keep going with it throughout the year. Now we'll just gently take the attention to the breath. So without changing the breath, we're just going to notice where it's moving the body. So for everyone it might be different, or it will be different. You might notice the chest rising and falling. You might notice the belly filling and emptying. You might find it more, you notice the air coming in and out of the nostrils or the mouth, whichever way you breathe. So wherever you can obviously, or most obviously notice the breath, just resting the attention there. Noticing the inhale and noticing the exhale. You might realize that you've been distracted, you're not paying attention to the breath anymore, you've gone off with your thoughts. That is 100% normal. Happens all the time, and just each time it happens, when you notice, you go, oh, I've lost it. I'll bring my attention back now to the breath. There's no problem at all, just taking my attention back to the breath. going to deepen the breath. We're going to do 3 deep belly breaths. So just inhale to fill up the belly. Exhaling out the nose, emptying fully. Inhaling through the nose to fill up the belly. Exhaling out the nose, fully emptying. One last time, inhaling fully into the belly. And exhaling, fully emptying. And then you can just release again the effort from the breath. Letting it return to its just natural rhythm, the effortless way the breath comes and goes. And we'll feel into the sit bones once again, feeling the feet on the ground, feeling the sit bones on the ground, hearing any sounds around you. And then just gently blinking open the eyes, coming back into the space before we start to get moving. So just as we go through the practice, we usually inhale and exhale through the nose when we practice yoga. If you, for whatever reason, have any difficulty with that, by all means, breathe in and out the mouth, or in the nose, out the mouth, whatever is the way you normally breathe. But generally, it's inhaling through the nose and out through the nose. And I will cue, like, you inhale doing certain things, exhale doing certain things. If you're totally new to yoga and you're just getting into the positions is enough work for your brain, then don't worry about the breath. That comes the more you do it, the more you get used to the poses, then you can tune into the breath more. So it's all just layers building the more you do it. So don't worry about getting every single part right. So if you need to just switch over the cross of your legs, or if you need to adjust into another seated position, we will sit in our easy seated pose. But if you find that too much, just sitting, kneeling, or legs out in front. We're going to take the right hand out beside us, so it's just out from the hip, palm of the hand on the mat, lifting the left hand up to the ceiling. We're going to inhale to reach here, so feeling the stretch all along the left side of the body, and exhale, reaching the hand over to the right. So you can keep the right hand where it was, or if you want, you can walk it out a little bit so the arm gets straightened and that you've got some space between the ear and the shoulder. So just checking that you're not squeezing the shoulder up towards the ear. That might just be your natural state for a lot of people. So just noticing if it's doing that and just relaxing the shoulder down. We're breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose. We'll do another one. Out, and then we'll come back to center. The left hand can come onto the mat now, just out from the hip, reaching the right hand up. We'll inhale to reach up, and exhale, reaching over to the left. Again, you can leave that left hand where it is, or walking it out a little bit, just checking you have plenty of space between that shoulder and ear. Inhaling here, and exhaling. One more inhale, one more exhale, and we'll come back to center. So we're going to take our left hand over to the right knee, and our right hand is coming behind us. It's on the mat, just at the base of the spine, or walking it out a little bit. So you can have a bit of a space between the spine and the hand. We're going to inhale to grow tall through the spine, and exhale, twisting to the right. So you're looking to the right, the shoulders twisting. After a few breaths, you might take the gaze over the right shoulder. If this is straining the neck in any way, just keeping the gaze to the side. Inhale to grow tall through the spine. And exhale to twist a little deeper. One more inhale. And we'll exhale, releasing that, turning back to face the front. Now we'll swap over, so right hand over the left knee. Left hand behind you on the mat. Inhaling, growing nice and tall. And exhale, twisting to the left. So you're feeling the twist come from the belly, through the rib cage, and then the shoulders, gazing to the left. Inhaling, growing tall. Exhale, twisting a bit deeper. Maybe taking the gaze over the left shoulder. One more inhale. Exhale, releasing, and you can uncross the legs. Now we're going to come into tabletop pose. So we're having the shoulders over the wrists, the knees are over the hips. I'll straighten my mat here. And we have a nice and neutral spine, so you're drawing in the belly button. The spine is nice and straight. When I say neutral, I mean it's straight. You're not rounding or dropping the belly down. We're going to inhale to reach the belly down to the mat, and the bum is sticking up to the air. You're looking forward with the chest gazing forward. Now exhale, tucking in the tailbone. You're going to round the spine, bring the chin into the chest. So your spine is arching up like a cat in cat pose. Inhale, we'll drop the belly down, looking forward, coming into cow pose. Exhale, rounding the spine, reaching the shoulders up to the ceiling. Inhale, dropping the belly down so the bum is turning up to the ceiling, gazing forward. And exhale, rounding the spine. One more time, inhaling, dropping the belly into cow pose. And exhale, rounding the spine, drawing the belly button in cat pose. And then we'll come back to a neutral spine. We're just going to send the hips back towards the heels. They might not reach the heels, but we're sending them in that direction. Walking the hands out in front, and then you're going to let the head, the chest rest towards the ground. So now if the head doesn't reach the mat, you can grab a cushion nearby. I'm assuming, just because this room is full of cushions. I'm going to put a cushion underneath the forehead. So that just brings the mat up towards the head. Just like so. It just helps you release through the shoulders, letting the head and neck relax. So this is child's pose, our basic resting pose. So if you ever want a break throughout the class, you can always come into this pose. The arms are outstretched, the elbows are off the mat. The palms of the hands just gently pressing into the mat. We'll do one more inhale, one more exhale. Then we're going to come back through our tabletop. We're going to tuck the toes under. And we're going to shift the hips back again towards the heels. And then lift them up to the ceiling, lifting the knees off of the mat, coming into our downward facing dog. So you can pedal out the legs here if your hamstrings or calves are tight. So your hands are pressing down into the mat, and then you're reaching the bum up to the ceiling. And then you can reach the heels down to the mat, so straightening out the legs. You're looking back to the thighs in your downward facing dog. Drawing in the belly button. There's a lot going on here. We'll do one more inhale. One more exhale. You're going to look forward and bend your knees and slowly walk the knees forward until they reach the hands. If you aren't able to get the feet all the way forward, you can just walk the hands then back towards the feet. And we're in our forward fold. So the feet are hip distance apart. You're reaching the hands, they're either touching the mat. If they don't touch the mat, you're just reaching down towards it. And we're having the legs straight. You can have a little bend in the knee. And then deepening that knee bend, you're going to tuck in the chin and you're slowly going to roll up through the spine. So you're stacking each vertebrae one over the other until you come all the way up to standing. Just get your hair out of your face if you're like me. And now you're standing at the top of your mat. So we're coming into mountain pose. So mountain pose is our basic standing pose. It's kind of the starting point of all the standing sequences. And we have the feet hip distance apart. We have the shoulders rolled down the back. We have the hands reaching down. So the palms of the hands are facing towards the legs, but the fingertips are reaching down. So you're kind of active here. You're drawing in the belly button. You can feel that the thighs are active and engaged. Take an inhale here. And exhaling it. So we're going to inhale, take the arms wide, bring them to the sides and overhead, palms touching, looking up to the hands. So we're going to exhale, hinging at the hips. We're going to fold forward, returning to that forward fold you were just in. We're going to inhale to lift halfway. So you're bringing the spine parallel to the ground. Hands can rest on the shins or they can rest on the thighs. We're going to exhale to fold down. We're going to inhale, bring yourself back to standing, bring the arms wide, bring them overhead to touch, gazing up. You can exhale, taking them towards the side or out to the sides and back down. Once again, we're going to do that. So inhale, bring the arms wide and overhead, palms touching, looking up. Exhale, hinging at the hips, coming down with a straight spine, folding down, reaching the hands towards the mat. And again, they might not reach the mat, that's totally fine. So you're just reaching the fingertips down. We're going to inhale to lift halfway, hands come onto the shins or thighs, spine parallel to the ground. And exhale, folding back down, reaching the hands back towards the mat. We'll inhale, come back to standing, bring the arms wide to the sides and up to touch overhead. And exhale the hands back down towards the sides. So we call that half sun salutation, that sequence of movements. So now we're going to, from your mountain pose, standing at the top of your mat, going to step back with your left leg as long as you can. So as far, I'm just going to switch so you can actually see me. So sending that left leg back as far as you can. Right toes are pointing straight ahead. Left toes are pointing out to the side. So the left foot is parallel to that short end of your mat. You're going to bend into that front knee, working towards getting that thigh parallel to the ground. And then you're going to lift the fingertips up so they're in line with your shoulders. So just taking maybe a look back to the hand behind you, checking it's in line with the shoulder. Looking forward over the front hand then. So you're bent in that front knee. You're pressing that back foot into the mat, keeping that leg straight and active. And we're in our warrior two pose. So seeing, can you relax the shoulders down the back? And your hips, your shoulders are open out to that long edge of the mat. We'll do one more inhale here. Then exhaling, we're going to straighten that front leg. We'll turn the front palm to face up to the ceiling. We're going to inhale to reach that front hand forward, so you're reaching the torso forward as well. And then exhale, letting that hand come down to that front leg. And you're going to lift up the left fingertips. So the front leg, your right leg, with your right hand reaching down. So it might not reach all the way down. Maybe you rest it on the shin. Or maybe you can get the fingertip onto the mat. Just depends on the amount of space, flexibility in the legs, the hips, even just the build of your body. Your left hand is reaching up to the ceiling. You can either gaze up to that hand or you're just looking to the side of the room. We're here in triangle pose. We'll do one more inhale. And exhaling, pressing into the feet. You're coming all the way back up. Relaxing the arms down. We're going to turn the right toes now to point to the side. So both sets of toes are pointing forward. Your sides of your feet are parallel to the short end of the mat, or you're turning in the toes a little bit. So whichever really just feels more comfortable, more stable. We're going to take the hands onto the hips. We're going to inhale, look up, lifting the chest to the ceiling. And we're exhaling, hinging forward. And again, like earlier, we're coming halfway, like we did in our forward fold, halfway with the spine parallel to the mat. You're just having the hands in the hip creases here. You can push the hips back a bit. And take another inhale. And exhale, then release the hands towards the mat. You can let the head be heavy. If you can't reach the mat, you can have the hands on the hip, you can use them on the hips, or you can have them resting on the thighs. If you have some cushions, you can put the cushions underneath the hands, so you're just raising up the mat towards your hands. So we're here in wide-legged forward fold. Trying to keep the legs straight because we want to stretch into the hamstrings, into the calves. So any bending in the knee is just kind of releasing that stretch. So if you can, straightening the legs, trying to send the hips back again, the weight into more the heels of the feet, deepening it into the into the hamstrings. Let's do one more inhale, one more exhale. We're going to inhale to lift halfway once again, bringing the hands back to the hips, spine parallel to the mat. Exhale, come all the way back up to standing. You can turn your right toes to face back to the top of the mat and stepping back to the top of your mat into your mountain pose, so feet hip distance, reaching the hands down to the mat. Standing nice and tall through the spine. We'll take an inhale here, and we'll exhale. Now we'll do that all on the other side. So this time stepping back with the right leg as far as you can. Left toes are pointing forward, right foot parallel to the back edge of the mat. I'm going to lift up the fingertips till they're in line with the shoulders. And then bending into that left knee. Right leg stays straight, it's strong. You're pressing that right foot into the ground. The shoulders are over the hips and they're long like the length of the mat. And then you can gaze over the front hand. So we're back to warrior two pose. Feeling maybe the sensation in that left thigh, maybe you're feeling it burning, maybe you're feeling it in the right leg as well. Noticing where you can feel the pose working. We'll do one more inhale. And exhale, straightening that front leg. We'll turn the front palm to face the ceiling. We'll inhale to reach that left hand as far forward as you can, the torso following it. And then exhale, let the left hand come down to the left leg. The right hand reaches up to the ceiling. So we're looking for the left hand to have a straight line all the way up to the right hand. So it might be at the moment that you can't get the right hand maybe any further than this, and that's fine, that's totally great. Just doing what you can, and eventually the more you practice your yoga, you might find just through other poses, creating space in other areas, you'll eventually be able to get that straight line from left fingertips to right fingertips. Again, you can gaze up to the top hand or take the gaze to the side of the room. One more inhale. Exhale, press into the feet, bring yourself back up. We'll turn the left toes to point forward. So again, all 10 toes pointing the same direction. If you want to turn in the toes a little bit, by all means do so. Again, we're taking hold of the hips, inhaling to grow nice and tall, looking up to the ceiling. And exhale, hinging at the hips to come halfway. So the spine is parallel to the ground. You're looking down to the mat. I'll just turn over so you can see. Pressing the hands into the hips just so you can send the hips back a little bit. And then release the hands down to the mat. We're just going to take an inhale here and take an exhale. And then this time we're going to take a bit of movement in our wide-legged forward fold. So we're going to take the left hand so it's below the face on the mat. And again, if you can't reach, grab some pillows, stick it underneath the hand so you can get it there. We're going to draw the right fingertips out to the side and up to the ceiling. So you're twisting through the spine. We're going to inhale here. Exhale, lower the right hand down. The hand then replaces the left hand. So right hand is under the face now. Inhale, left hand to the side and up to the ceiling. And exhale, lowering it down. Left hand comes onto the mat. Inhale, right hand to the side and up. And exhaling it down. Inhale, left hand to the side and up. And exhaling it down. We'll do one more each side. Inhale, right hand up, it comes up. And exhale the hand down. Inhale, left hand comes up. And exhale, coming back down. Just releasing shoulders ahead towards the mat. And we'll inhale to lift halfway, bringing the hands back to the hips. Exhale, coming all the way up. We're turning the left toes to point back to the top of the mat and stepping back to our mountain pose. Maybe you need to give the legs a little shake. Maybe coming up onto the tippy toes a few times if you're not used to that pose. You might feel it in your feet a little bit, just from kind of pressing into the mat to keep the legs strong. So if you want to just come up onto the tippy toes and back down. Then we're going to come back to our mountain pose. This time, normally our mountain pose we're feet with hip distance apart, but this time we're going to bring the feet together. So we're just going to stand here, pressing the feet into the mat, reaching the fingertips down to the ground. I'm just going to shift the weight forward onto the toes, then back towards the heels. Maybe the toes come up as you come back to the heels, shifting the weight back to the toes, and then again to the heels. We're going to just shift them over to the left, so onto the left edge of the left foot, over to the right edge of the right foot. Just going side to side here. So just noticing your balance even as you're doing this. And then just coming back to forward and back, side to side. And then just bring the movement smaller and smaller until you feel that you're right in the center. Equal weight forward and back, equal weights left and right. And you're standing tall here in your mountain pose. And we're going to shift all the way over to that left leg. So really feeling that left leg, all four corners of that pressing into the mat. We're going to lift onto the right toe, right big toe, drawing the right knee out to the side. You can rest that right heel on the side of the left leg. So you can take the hands to prayer here. It's just prayer position at the chest. And you can stay here, just checking that you're not dipping or dumping all of your weight into your left hip. So you're trying to stay nice and tall through the leg, through the spine, through the hips. Maybe if you want, you can slide the sole of the foot onto the inner calf, coming into tree pose. Just trying to reach through the crown of the head so you're lovely and tall through the spine, nice and elongated through the torso as your left foot presses into the mat, keeping that left leg strong, supporting you. You can just pick a point in front of you to steady the gaze, and in turn steadying the balance. You can stay here, or maybe reaching the fingertips up overhead, maybe separating out the hands. So we're just breathing here in tree pose. I'll take one more inhale. Exhale, take the hands back together, lowering them down to the heart, releasing out that leg, giving the hips a little shake before coming over to the other side. So we're just going to take both feet together once again. Once again, we're just going to do that little moving of the weight forward and backwards, side to side, just feeling the weight distribution across the feet. And then seeing, can you perfectly balance it between the weight being forward, the weight being back, being left and right. And we're shifting the weight over to the right foot completely, getting all four corners of the right foot rooting down into the mat. And then we're going to come onto the left big toe, drawing the left knee out to the side. And again, checking you're not dumping everything over to that right hip. You're kind of zipped up through the center of the body. You take the hands to prayer. So you can either have the toes here resting on the mat with the heel resting on the leg, or sliding the foot up so it's on the inner calf. Not sure if that's actually what it's called, but anyway. And you're picking that point in front of you to focus your gaze, helping you to focus your balance. Maybe taking the fingertips up overhead. Maybe taking the arms apart. Breathing here in tree pose. And if you want to, if balancing in general on one foot is very new to you, not something you ever do, you can always take your hand, I'm just looking at the mantelpiece, rest it on the mantelpiece, but if there's anything around you that you can rest the hand onto, just to help you get used to even the sensations in the body, what muscles need to be working, what needs to be on. And I'm sure you're like, hurry up and stop talking so we can get out of this pose. But it's always an option to use the hand or something beside you to balance. So on our next exhale, we'll take the hands back together, back down to the heart, release out that left leg, give the hips another little shake out, and then we're going to take the feet back to hip distance. We're going to inhale, take the arms nice and wide and meeting up above. We're going to exhale, diving down into our forward fold, reaching the hands to the mat. And you can take hold of opposite elbow here, just helping to release out the shoulders, the upper back, the hips are getting sent up to the ceiling. You can sway side to side. And then release the fingertips down to the mat. We're going to bend the knees nice and deep so that you can get the hands onto the mat. And then the reverse of what we did earlier, we're going to walk the feet back towards the back of the mat. We're going to come into our downward facing dog. So you're pushing the hands into the mat. So the shoulders are moving back towards the legs. And the knees are bent so you can send the hips up to the ceiling. And then let the heels come back to the mat. Straightening the legs. And now the heels might be lifted off the mat. That is totally fine. you're just reaching the heels towards the direction of the mat. So you're just more so to get them to straighten out the legs. We'll do one more inhale. Then we'll exhale, just lower the knees down so you're back at your tabletop. You just come back to kneeling, and then you can just rearrange yourself so that you can send the legs out in front of you. So this is our basic seated posture, is staff pose. So we're sitting the legs out in front, feet a little bit apart, so kind of hip distance apart. Your hands are resting on the mat either side the hips. And now depending on your body, just your build, you might not be able to reach the hands onto the mat. So if not, if you have again cushions, you can bring them, or you can just have them as if you're pressing the hands into the mat but not touching it. So either is fine. Like sometimes that's literally just how your body's built. So the toes are pointing back to the mat. You're drawing in the core nice and tall through the spine, looking forward. Staff pose. Inhaling. And exhaling. Now we're just going to take a little bend to the knee. We're going to lift the fingertips up to the ceiling. We're going to inhale here to reach nice and tall. And then exhale, reaching the fingers forward and towards the toes. If they don't reach the toes, let them rest onto the shins or knees. And if they reach the toes, just letting them rest there. We're just going to let the upper body reach down towards the legs in our seated forward fold. And just breathe here in through the nose and out through the nose. Trying to slow down your inhale and exhale. Do one more inhale. And we'll exhale to come back up. We're going to bend that left leg in. So squeezing it in as close as you can to the body, and you can leave it here or you're going to step it over the right leg. So whichever is available for you. We're going to squeeze that left leg to the body. We're going to take the left hand behind you, so it's just resting on the mat there at the base of the spine, or you can walk a little bit away from the body. Wrapping the right arm around the right leg. We're going to inhale to grow nice and tall, reaching through the crown of the head. And exhale, twisting to the left. So feeling first the belly, then the rib cage, then the shoulders, moving to the left. And breathing here, each inhale growing length through the spine. Each exhale twisting it a little deeper. Maybe after a few breaths, you might take the gaze over the left shoulder. But if you feel any strain in the neck at all, just keeping the gaze to the side. We'll do one more inhale. Exhale, unwind so you can face back to the front, releasing out that left leg, giving the knees a little bounce, and then we'll bend in the right knee. So just repeating whichever you did on the other side, either staying with the knee just bent or stepping it over the left leg. So the right hand is coming behind us now. We're wrapping the left hand around the right leg, inhaling to grow nice and tall, and exhaling, twisting belly, thighs, belly, chest, shoulders, coming into your seated twist. Breathing here, in and out of the nose, trying to slow down the breath. Do one more inhale. And exhale, releasing it, extending out that left leg, giving the knees a little bounce. And then we're going to bring the feet together, working them towards the body. But if you feel it's very tight or your knees are very high, you can move the feet a little bit away from the body. So we have this nice diamond shape with the legs. We're holding onto the ankles or the shins. We're trying to let the knees release down to the mat. And if you feel like they're really up high and you're finding it hard to let them release, you can wedge some cushions in underneath the legs and try to let the legs then sink into the cushions so they can support the weight of the legs, letting you get more of a release around the hips and the groin area. So we're holding on to the ankles, we're inhaling nice and tall through the spine, and exhale, reaching the chest forward. So I'll just show you from the side. You're just reaching the chest forward, trying to keep a nice neutral spine, so like long straight spine. Gently tucking in the chin so the back of the neck is long. You can have the elbows on the knees to help push them towards the ground. And then after a few breaths, you can just let the head and the neck and the shoulders gently curl towards the feet. So we're in cobbler pose. Trying to slow down the breath. Deepening it into the belly. And exhaling through the nose to fully empty out. We'll do one more inhale. We'll exhale, come back up. I'll bring the knees together. You can take the hands behind you. We'll just drop the knees side to side. So releasing out the hips, releasing out the glutes. And then coming back to center, you can just shift the toes back up towards the back of your mat. You're just going to reach the hands forward and slowly take your spine onto the mat. When the shoulders meet the mat, you can take the knees into the chest, taking hold of the knees, maybe rolling side to side. Coming back to center, let the feet fall onto the mat so the knees are pointing up towards the ceiling. Our feet are hip distance apart. You're going to put the arms on the mat so the upper arms are pressing into the mat and then the fingers are pointing up to the ceiling. And then pressing the feet and the upper arms into the mat. We're going to inhale, lift the hips up. And we're going to exhale, lower the hips back down. Do that again. Inhale, lift the hips up. And exhale, lower them down. This third time, we're going to hold it once we lift. So we're going to inhale, lifting the feet up. We'll be pressing the forearms, the feet into the mat. And as we exhale, we're holding the pose. So this is bridge pose. Trying to really press the feet, the heels into the mat. And lift the hips maybe a little millimeter higher. I'll do 2 more breaths here. One more inhale. And then exhale, slowly bring the spine back onto the mat. You can take the knees into the chest, just rocking side to side. And I'll bring the knees back to center, letting the feet come onto the mat. I'm going to shift the hips an inch over to the left, let the knees drop over to the right. We're going to walk the heels away from your bum, so you have a 90-degree angle in the knees. And then you can have, if the space, the arms out long, reaching the hands in line with the shoulders. Or you can bend the elbows, point the fingertips back if you're a bit short on space. You can take the gaze the opposite direction of the knees. And we want both shoulders to be on the mat. So if you find the left shoulder is lifting up as you're twisting the knees, like the knees might not, either they're reaching the ground and you're lifting up the shoulder, or the knees are lifted off the ground and the shoulder is still lifted, you can again get your cushion, place it under that right knee. So you're lifting the knees up a bit so that both shoulders can ground onto the mat. So we're lying here in our spinal twist. We'll do one more inhale. We'll take the knees back to center. We're just going to shift the hips an inch over to the right. Drop the knees all the way over to the left. Taking the gaze again the opposite direction of the knees. I'm just checking you have a 90-degree bend at the knee joint so the heels are away from the body. Trying to slow down the breath here, so deepening the inhale to fill up the belly. And elongating, stretching out the exhale to fully empty. Maybe even closing down the eyes here as we're coming towards the end of the class. We'll do one more inhale. Exhale, bring the knees back to center, and then we'll come into our last pose called corpse pose. We're extending the legs long on the mat. So left leg towards the left corner of the mat, right leg towards the right corner of the mat. You can take the hands, the palms face up, and just move the hands a little bit away from the body. And now if you're cold or anything, just pop on some socks, get a jumper or a blanket, because we'll be resting here for a couple of moments. So that's called corpse pose. It's that we're resting for a few moments before we finish up. We just close down the eyes here once we've gotten our layers or whatever we've needed. And we're just going to let the body sink into the mat. Just letting any last tensions just release. Letting softness come into any areas that you feel really need it. Just allowing the ground to support the body. There's nothing you have to do. The body is just releasing its weight to the ground. We just rest here for a few moments, letting the energy that we've kind of built up and created and generated throughout the movement of the class just to work its way through the body. And then the space that we've also created through the stretching, through the breathing, to just be integrated into your body. We'll gently start to wake up the body again, wake up the mind. Just noticing any sounds you can hear. Feeling the contact points between you and the mat, maybe the back of the head, the shoulders, your bum, the back of the calves, the heels, wherever you feel the body touching the ground. And gently wiggling the fingers and toes, bring some movement into the body, circling the wrists and the ankles. You can move the arms and legs, making the movement a bit bigger and bigger, and reaching the arms overhead, taking a nice big full body stretch, inhaling as you reach from fingers to toes. And then you can sigh out the exhale through the mouth. Releasing the stretch. We'll just bend in the knees. We're going to roll over to our right side. You can make a little pillow with the hands underneath the head. Just taking a moment here. You're going to push the hands into the mat to bring yourself back up to seated, so you can return to whatever position was comfortable for you at the start of the class. So cross-legged, kneeling, legs out in front. And we can rest the hands, palms facing to the ceiling, on the thighs. We'll just close down the eyes, or if you prefer, just gently gazing down to the ground. And just taking a moment here to congratulate yourself on taking your first yoga class, if it was your first, or for just making the time for yourself, if it's something you normally do. Or if it's something that you kind of used to do, forgot about, and you're back here, well done for showing up, for really committing to it and doing it. So just giving yourself a little mental pat on the back for your effort today. And just taking a moment as well to kind of reignite that commitment to continue with this practice going forward. Whether it's once a week, a couple of times a week, just making a pact with yourself to stick with it, to keep going, creating that time for yourself about your health mentally, physically, and emotionally. Now we're going to take the hands to prayer position in front of the heart. We'll bow our head to our heart and hands. We'll bow our head and heart to our body. And then we bow down to the earth. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope if you were a beginner that you really enjoyed it, and if you're just returning to yoga or needed a refreshing, that you got that from the practice as well. If you were a beginner, I would love to hear from you in the comments how you found the practice, if it was too easy, too hard, anything particular that you loved or struggled with. I'd love to hear it all. I hope you come to practice with me again on my channel. If you do, you can subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're notified whenever the next video is up. And if you liked this video, please give it a like so I know what to be continuing to create as I go forward with this channel. Thank you so much, and I wish you the best of luck on your yoga journey. See you next time.